What you wouldn't want to see is like a garage like that, you
Or-
know, have,
right.
I've got 50 tires come pick them up, you know.
No,
but,
no. I think we'll hold off, and if people call you, or if
Right.
a report comes in that there's tires
Yeah.
off Stackyard Road, then you contact. That's the way we'll handle
Or
that.
if we find them too, we can let you know,
Yep.
you know, that type of thing, which is what we typically do, so.
Do you go on private property and lift tires if you
We can.
can?
We're allowed through, we operate under chapter 252 of the state bylaws, which allows us to enter private or public property. We're not an enforcement agency, but that allows us to go to check for mosquito larvae and, you know, treat if necessary, so. You know, we always try to knock on doors first, you know, to make our presence known, rather than just have somebody call, there's somebody wandering around the woods, you know, so. Yeah.
This year is a 375th anniversary of Rowley, and there are a number of events that are scheduled for the town common,
Mhm.
mostly on weekends, Saturdays and Saturday nights. Is this something we could share with you? This calendar here, is this something we could have you help us with, maybe hitting the event
Mhm.
before and giving us the best
Mhm.
opportunity? We don't want this to be a negative publicity thing for,
Right.
you know,
Right.
no spraying, but we do the fields on certain times as complaints come out.
Mhm.
And this would be along the same line of
Yep.
subject matter. So, want me to give you this now, this
Sure,
calendar?
if you-
And
Yeah, I've got a
then,
few here.
If you
and
want
then,
to-
and then Frank can be in touch with you to firm it up.
Sure.
But we really would like you to protect that activity.
Okay, common.
You know, people slapping themselves, you know.
You're on the Rally 2 staff.
Yeah.
Some of us have tough skin.
So along those same lines, you'll continue and do the playing fields as
Yeah,
Frank,
as needed, as
alerts.
Yeah. Yeah.
and that will be the mode of communication and not the recreation committee to you, but it'll be through the Board of Health,
Right, exactly.
just so that there's clear lines.
Right, and I know in the past when Triton District wants, like Pine Grove sprayed, I mean, we always touch base, so we have, you know,
Yeah.
school, Board of Health and us, so it's that triangle,
Mm,
so.
Good.
And their IPM plan has to be updated. Triton's really good, they're one of the best districts that keep their IPM plan up for
Well, it could be where they're located.
products that we use, yeah.
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 And our products, I mean, we're using the same material, you know, truck spraying. We keep looking at, you know, safer and safer products. Some aren't as effective, but, you know, you gotta kind of go with what works and, you know, reduce that risk also.
I see driving through Newbury this weekend, some no spraying signs up in people's backyards. And I'm a beekeeper, and these are beekeeping signs. Is anything you use out of your truck a problem for bees?
It will kill bees, it will kill honeybees, but if we follow the label, which we do, we're only allowed to spray, the label says when bees, you cannot spray when bees are actively foraging. So that's why we have to spray at night. And the state protocol is sunset to sunrise. We always add a half an hour just to be a little bit safer. You know, that's our personal in-house protocol. So, yes, it will kill honeybees, you know, if they come in contact with it. But, you know, the warning's right on the label, so we try to avoid all that. But, you know, on the other hand, there's beekeepers in Newbury that we've sprayed a lot. They call us to be sprayed, and we've never got a complaint from them of killing their bees.
I think in a
So
lot of
it's-
ways that's people who don't understand
Yeah.
the whole science of what you do.
Yeah,
Put up the sign just out of fear rather than,
right,
and misunderstanding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the signs aren't legal, so, you know, they have to have a registered letter in.
By what, the
By
1st of
May-
March? Or
March 1st.
Yeah.
And that was, that's been on the books for, I want to say, since the early 90s. And this year, 2014, the legal department for Department of Ag said that we are required to follow that. You know, so that's why we kind of made an issue of it this year.
Mhm.
There's always people that are going to call if we do a town-wide spray. But you know, if they have a koi pond, they can cover that with a tarp and they're fine. Dave Roberts used to do that. You know, so we try to give as much notice as possible.
Mhm.
And you have the public access TV, so that's a good way to get the word out too, so.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, you've pretty much given us, we've covered all the main pieces of the summer's plan, right? Can you think of
Pretty
anything
much.
else? Esteban, do you have anything to add?
Well, there's always gonna be mosquitoes, and there's always gonna be virus, apparently. If you saw from the maps that are prepared in the vector management plan, again, last year was a scary year with all the positive mosquito pools that we recovered. The interesting thing about the Rowley hit, if memory serves me, it was early in the season, and it was from a temporary trap that I set up just along the salt marsh. And that was, it coincided with a number of hits that I had placed in similar habitats in Salisbury, in Newbury, and that gave me the suggestion that the virus was coming from migrating birds, that local mosquitoes were biting. And if that is the case, you know, there's nothing that we can do about that except just maintain vigilance. We didn't have, if I recall, we didn't have any other hits in Raleigh the rest of the year. So I think that the program in which, you know, we're keeping the mosquito numbers in check as best we can seems to be doing all right for now. You know, the key with all this are the birds, the movement of the birds and how many of these birds are infected. And that's something that nobody can predict, nobody knows. We can control the mosquito numbers to a point. I mean, we treat the basins effectively, and during an average year, that's usually good enough. But if you get a year that we have a severe drought, you'll have water accumulating in areas that we don't normally will treat, like rain gutters, like drying rivers, and that's where you're going to have the water being formed that's rank and disgusting and putrid, and that's where the culex mosquitoes are going to breed in. And that's where the numbers pop up. So that's why there's always been a very strong correlation between hot drought summers and high incidence of West Nile virus cases in mosquitoes and in humans, because the vectors are most prevalent during that time of extreme heat and no water. And again, it always sounds like a contradiction, but that's how these mosquitoes take advantage. I mean, if you look at a drying pond, even a big pond, once it starts drying up, all along the edges, you have all the garbage that people dumped, all the tires that people dumped, and the water that's being held there becomes wonderful breeding grounds for these mosquitoes. You know, and these areas that we don't have access to, and then rain gutters, and people somehow want to keep tires in their backyards, don't ask me why. Again, if this is a normal precipitation heat year, I think we'll be fine, again, depending on the bird populations. If it's an extremely hot summer, look for the possibility of more West Nile virus hits. Tripoli, it depends on what's going on along the border area between us and New Hampshire. That seems to be the focal point for the Tripoli that we get in this area.
So the triple D comes down from the New Hampshire area?
I want to say, yeah, quote unquote comes down. What I think is going on is that the birds that are in that area that get infected, as they move around, and if they go north, they go south. In our case, if they're coming down south, infected, and they happen to roost, let's say in Rowley, and mosquitoes bite them and pick up the virus, then there's concern for that. It seems that extreme wet years may promote, at least in recent history, extreme wet weather promotes the presence and spread of Triple E. So basically, you're picking your poison. When it's very hot or very wet, you're going to have some virus issue. At least that's what's going to be for the near future. And then there's a whole other issue of chikungunya virus, But I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that here. Chikungunya is it's similar to dengue virus. And it's a, more of a, a bodily
How do you spell
aching.
that?
Chick, CHIKGUN.
Why?
Y.
Sounds like a spelling bee.
Yeah, it would be, and I'd fail, of course. It's somewhere in the vector management plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'll
saw
look it
it in here.
Yeah, chikungunya. It's a concern now because it popped up in the Caribbean late last year, and no one knows how it's gotten there. It is not a killing virus. In other words, the rate of fatality is extremely low, but people who come down with it are in extreme pain for at least a week or more. Joint pains, they can't move. Chikungunya comes from, I believe it was, it may have been Swahili, some African language, basically meaning one that twists the body. And what happens is that people get all contorted because they're in such pain. And we don't have the vector here, which is the Asian tiger mosquito, though it's been popping up in New Bedford in tire facilities. There's a concern it might get established. If it gets established, then there's the potential of that virus being circulated up here. But right now, on plastic, we're not concerned, but we're keeping an eye out for that. So yeah, it's a jungle out there.
And even though it's a virus from warm climates, from its origins, it still can survive the winter cold here?
Well, it seems to, it may survive in the mosquitoes. The virus will overwinter it will stay in hibernating mosquitoes. And right now, the Asian tiger mosquito, as far as we know, has not adapted to our winters. However, with the last couple of years now that we had mild winters, and if colonies get established along the coast, which is usually a little warmer than inland, there is the potential, if you follow natural selection, that populations are going to be selected to survive. And if they're infected with virus, then we can see the start of an epidemic. Again, I hate to sound like an alarmist, but again, like I tell people, that's what I get paid to be. We want to be careful. We want to be on the alert. We don't want to be taken by surprise. When West Nile virus appeared in this country, public health institutions were sort of very arrogant, thinking that, oh, we got problems, like nothing will get past us. And then West Nile virus came and caught the whole public health community with its pants down. And so I think it's important that we always keep our vigilance. Again, I know I may be sounding an alarmist, but I just want everyone to know that we're trying to be on top of this. So,
That's why we like to have you as our consultants.
Exactly.
We always
please.
feel comfortable as the season gets going, and I believe and know that people in Raleigh are happy with the services you've provided, and
I would hope so. Like we said before, there's always, both sides of the fence, but, we get, calls from boards of health, oh, there's an abandoned property, and that's become bigger. Abandoned property with a pool, with a liner that's breeding, bellied and breeding, so anytime you get a call us, we're more than happy to go check a property out, so that's.
is that pool on Jellison Road squared away?
I believe so.
Why don't you look into that tomorrow? We did have a landowner who refused to be responsible.
And Jealous?
Yeah, Jellison Road.
How about Covert? What's in there?
I'll have to look into that one.
Yep.
Well, sometimes with issues of swimming pools, if I may interject, if the swimming pool's been abandoned for a while, it's not really that big of a problem because it's basically converted itself into an artificial pond. So you have creatures that you find in ponds living in the pool. So you'll have predators, creatures, they'll eat the mosquito larvae.
Dragonflies and
Dragonflies, yeah. The problem is if there's abandoned pool covers sort of shoved to the side that collect water, and that's where you're going to find the breeding at. I remember checking abandoned properties in Topsfield, and it was the pool covers, it was the toys that were left in the backyard, it was Fifi's feeding dish that was left full of water and larva galore, and it's again, anything that can hold water that's of a relatively small size, that's where you're gonna see the problem. Big swimming pools, I think the concern more is of issues of public health in terms of children
And
falling
safety.
in. Safety, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually horrified that these pools are abandoned and nothing's done about it, and I think they're a great risk to children. You know, so, but in terms of mosquitoes, usually, like I said, if it's been abandoned for a while, it's become an artificial pond, and that's not really a problem except for the safety issues.
We found boats in yards too.
Oh,
that
yeah.
People don't pull the plug and there'll be a rainstorm and this larva, pull the plug. So, yeah, turn it over, so. Yeah, that's another big one.
Yeah, I think we have to remind people that they have a responsibility.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
just not that you will come along
Yeah.
and save them.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody has stuff in the yard and
Right.
it needs to be cleaned up.
well, personal protection too, we
Sure.
describe that, especially in the fall,
Sure.
getting the virus, people want to put the off on and, but, yeah, look at a Frisbee or even a bottle cap in your yard will breed mosquitoes, so. It's, anything that'll hold water, so.
Any more questions
No.
from us? All right, well, thank you.
So we have another air spray probably coming up, because when the high tides come through every month, so middle of June. And this last one was a little bit tough because we had rain prior to the tides. So
Oh.
when the guys were out checking, they found advanced larvae and also new larvae out there. So some mosquitoes got off, flying before we did the air spray. But they got a good, kill with the BTI, so it was worth doing. We questioned whether we were going to do it or not, but we decided we better, plus right before Memorial Day, so, it was good we did it, so.
And that BTI is good for more than a month?
It will, what it does, the BTI is good for 24 hours in the liquid, in the
Salt marsh.
salt marsh upland edge pools.
Okay.
But the mosquitoes are feeding all the time, so, and they ingest that bacteria. That's what eventually kills them. So you don't need it out there for a month, because, the pools will dry back, and then when you get the next run of high tides, 3 weeks later, they'll start. It floods those areas again, and that's what hatches more eggs, so it's a whole cycle.
Yep. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Okay.
you're welcome.
And feel free to
Yeah,
call
we'll be in
with,
touch.
property inspections or
Okay.
tires or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay, excellent.
And we'll be in touch too with this
Yeah.
schedule, so
Okay.
we can, we will try to do, hit this probably the night before. The closest to the event, the better.
Right.
For efficiency and,
And everyone
coverage.
needs to stand still for that picture they're gonna take.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not being doing this.
Also, yeah, that's good. That- Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hey, have a good night.
You too, thanks.
See you next year, Esteban.
Okay, we'll see you then, take care now.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, right on schedule at 7:30. First thing is a brief update from Frank on our white goods collection day
Yep,
a few weeks ago.
yep. Yep, in your packet, Mr. Chairman, you see a report on what we collected that day. Majority, as usual, was electronics. Out of the total there, you can see that was about half of the items that we took in. Always is, it's always the biggest draw. And then you can see also a large amount of appliances that came in. These are all Freon containing items, items with gas and oil, things like that. So it was good. We got collected those products as well. We asked that they be drained, but if they weren't drained, the company will drain them properly. And then another section for just general metal scrap that came in, broken, whatever. It's just some different forms, but again, it was the electronics that really was the most that we collected.
So we got 12,000 pounds of electronics, is that true?
No,
No.
let's see. No, it was.
Oh, we got 6.03 tons, is that what this says?
Yes.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
I think there's something off with this graphic, but anyway,
Yeah, we'll have to.
make sure,
check on that.
yeah, that's a lot of,
Yeah, we did have 2 box trucks filled, or pretty close to filled,
yeah.
but I'll double check on that later.
Did the fees cover?
It did, yes. It did.
Now, what's this other graph? Tonnage report, tonnage by commodity and month.
Oh, that's just another way of breaking down the first couple pages.
Yeah,
It was just that one date,
it's just
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
portrayed that way.
broken down a different way.
Okay.
Yeah. We can have a series of events, so it's just that one event. And
Yep.
again, they just broke it up different ways to try to, however you prefer to.
So is
look at
it, the company sent this to you, these
They did.
these statistics? Okay.
They did.
All right.
And we put this in our annual report every year, and also in our stormwater reports that we
Okay.
do every year, to show that the town is collecting these type of products.
Good.
And also the recycling reports that we do for DEP every year also, that gets put into there as well. So this gives a good detailed breakdown of what was collected for the year, each year,
Okay.
for both events, actually. Yep.
Now, an update on prescription drug
Yeah.
take-back day?
Yep, as you remember, on Saturday, April 26th, the Raleigh Police Department and the Drug Enforcement Administration sponsored another unused or expired medication take-back day. It was another great success. We had about between 25 and 30 people come by and collected around 30 pounds of medication. And again, it was just a very successful event. We'll do another one in the fall. I mean, they do this twice a year, in the spring and the fall. I don't have the date for the fall yet, but we'll keep you posted on that. And again, we had it at the COA, and then again, the Raleigh Police really take the lead on this.
What kind of prescriptions came back?
As far as the types,
Yeah.
we don't get a detailed breakdown of what it was. They just go by the pounds.
I see.
I can certainly ask if they
No,
have it.
I just wondered, are they antibiotics or
A little bit of everything.
barbiturates?
Yeah, pretty much any type of prescription medication. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Is that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's your
How about
idea.
our water treatment plant
Yeah.
report?
Sure, we'll give you a little update on that. Basically, if you like, I can break it down sort of into 3 sections here. Kind of 3 things going on as far as we're concerned. One is the water treatment portion of the treatment plan. The other portion is the actual building itself, and then another piece would be the septic. If you want, I can start with the water treatment.
Yeah, sure.
Part. In your packet, you'll see a letter from DEP giving their approval for our system to operate the treatment plant. And again, this is the portion treating the water. It's quite a few pages here, but you can go through it, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. But it breaks down, what they're looking for as far as testing. A couple things they just needed to tweak, but basically it's been tested and it's ready to go online. All the operators have been trained. They made sure they were trained, that all their things working properly, they understand what the testing that needs to be submitted. And again, there's monitoring and operation maintenance in here that you can, without going through one by one, but
No finishing reports, I assume.
no.
Who's the superintendent now?
The town administrator is the acting one for now, yes, until they get a permanent person, which I haven't heard.
When did Russia depart?
Oh, ages ago.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Yeah, they had an interim superintendent in the meantime, who was on a temporary basis, and he had other obligations, so he knew he wasn't going to be permanent. Who
And
filled in for-
how many workers are there now?
I believe they did lose their primary operator, and they are looking for another one now. I believe I want to say there's 2 secondary operators and a couple of seasonal laborers. I believe.
So there are 2 important positions unfilled.
Right now, yeah, I honestly don't know if they have been filled. I haven't heard anything yet, but I know they were vacant. I can,
And you're going to attend their meetings?
Yes.
For the near future until things get squared away out there?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
I can get you an update on the primary and the superintendent, how that process is going. If you'd like, I can let you know.
And the building itself, is
Yeah.
that in compliance or?
That's still, I can move on to that if you,
Yeah,
unless you have
well,
any
yeah.
questions on the
Yep.
treatment part.
Are we all set with the treatment? We've pretty much covered all
Yeah,
that?
that seems to be, DEP is satisfied with what's.
And it's been
happened there.
tested?
It has been, yeah, it's basically ready to go.
So it's
Um,
basically just waiting for approvals of the overall construction?
Yeah, the building it seems to be what the problem.
Okay.
Or what they need to work on. No occupancy permit has been issued yet. There is actually a joint meeting tonight at the selectmen's meeting with the water commissioners to try to figure out what's left, what's being addressed, what hasn't been addressed, where they need to go on the outstanding issues. I was told the building does have some life safety issues that need to be addressed. These aren't just cosmetic issues that, due to the building and fire code. So there are some things that really have to be addressed before any occupancy permit can be issued. The contractor is working on a punch list. There's quite a few pages of things that need to be addressed. And they are working on that, and it's being addressed as we.
And the road too it goes in there?
Yeah, there were some issues with the road, as far as it not being pretty, it needs some passable for certain vehicles. I'll have to get an update on the status of that. But yeah, there were definitely some issues with the road not being passable, especially for fire trucks and things like that. But again, that's a work in progress. They are working on that, trying to resolve.
When was the projected opening of this treatment plant? Do you remember?
Yeah, I believe it was January or February, wasn't it? I believe originally. And then I believe it got pushed back to April, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure on the dates, but I don't know what the projected date is now because of these issues with the building, but I can certainly try to find out.
Well,
Well, just go to the meetings
Okay.
and report back to us what you
Sure.
learned.
Okay.
Okay, and so now what's next?
Yeah, now we can talk about septic a little bit if you like. Basically, the system's complete. I mean, it's installed, it's covered, it's in the ground. It is functioning properly. It's not being used, but it's ready to go. We'll be doing a final inspection probably this week or early next week.
You and Ed?
Yes, yeah, we'll both go out. And we do need the as-built plan. We haven't got that yet. That is being worked on. We did talk to the engineer today. We should have that hopefully by the end of this week or the end of next week. Once we get that, we'll be able to review it, hopefully approve it, and be able to sign the certificate of compliance for the septic system. And once we sign off on that, we'll be able to sign the occupancy permit, burning permit. This has nothing to do with the issues of the building
Right,
and
just for
fire,
our
just for our
purposes. Yep.
purposes, yeah. So hopefully, we're hoping within the next week or two, the septic will be wrapped up, we hope, and ready to go. So we'll be
Good.
able to sign off.
Okay,
That's pretty much all I had on the treatment, unless you had any
No?
No.
Sounds good.
questions?
Thank you for that report.
Sure.
Next, we'll move into office administration
Yep.
duties. Any bills for us to
I
look
do
at?
have, I think, just one. If you want, Charlie, if you want, we're just missing yours on those.
Oh, sure.
Or else, we're okay.
You got the top line, John. We save it for you,
Thank you.
'cause you have the biggest handwriting.
I know,
Very fancy.
big guy.
Well, when I resign, you people are gonna be fighting over the top line.
Somehow I think that's doubtful.
That's for you?
Thank you.
I'm just going to approve my letter of, for reappointment.
With
Thank
great
you very
reservation.
much. I
Great-
know,
We tried to
You
find,
bit the bullet.
I called 6 other people.
I know, and you couldn't find anybody that is,
Well, it was more filling your seat. It wasn't just a seat, it was the Nelson seat. There you are, right in the middle line.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I guess I have to do underneath too.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'll complete the exercise for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, next, we have minutes from our last meeting.
Yep, should be in your
Okay.
packet there. Before, yeah.
I was absent due
yes, you
to
are,
my
Susan.
Oh,
foolishness.
That's right.
I had it posted everywhere.
It wasn't easy.
All the kids there.
let's see here.
Should be right under there.
All right, well, while John and I review these quickly, has there been any action on the St. Mary's Church
No. not
system yet?
Yet. Not yet, no. We expect soon, but not yet.
How many properties requested exclusion from
Yeah.
spraying?
Yeah, I didn't bring the exact number, but I want to say 8 to 10.
But without a letter, they'll be sprayed anyway.
No, these did it correctly.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
They send a letter in by
Certified
March
letter.
1st.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
exactly. The town clerk, yes. I can get the exact number
No,
if
it's
you
okay.
want, but
Yeah, I wondered how many I had.
yeah, I did have that the last meeting.
Okay. There weren't like 200 or anything.
No, when I drive through Berkshire, I see one on every other property.
Any movement on the CVS?
No, the water testing was completed, but haven't heard anything since then, so we'll keep you posted on that as well. As far as I know, they haven't been in front of the planning board or anything like that yet, but I'm sure that'll be coming soon.
And the burn property on Central Street has been sold.
Yeah, I talked to Raleigh Realty just the other day. They're still working on the legal issues.
It's been a long process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's really stretched the understanding of us in that it's just been a threat to health,
Yeah.
having that derelict building sit there for 9 months. No, not 9 months, I guess it's 12 months.
Yeah, and it was-
It'll be 12 months. It was 12 months. It'll be 12 months this
This
week.
month, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a black eye
Well-
that for the town to have on a main street such an eyesore. And you wouldn't want to live next door to it. I mean, there should be some kind of emergency fund that the town can act in the spirit of public health. And then be in line to get reimbursed.
Yeah, I think, as I understand it, there were, title issues.
Right.
And that takes a long time if there are multi-generations that haven't cleared
Yeah.
it.
And once the town starts paying for stuff on private property, then it opens the door. I mean, I keep bringing up the thing on Route 1, which is a worse eyesore.
What thing is that?
You drive up Route 1 and look to the right.
I need a little more direction.
Northbound, past Market Basket, past the industrial park, before Weathersfield.
Hmm.
It's really awful.
What is it?
Who knows? It's a bunch of abandoned trucks.
Huh. I haven't noticed it.
These deed issues were almost resolved. I know the selectmen did look into it, and they were
Yeah.
advised by town council that they were close to resolving them.
Yeah.
So they held off, they backed off. I can,
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's,
reach
you know,
out.
we've tried for a year
yeah,
to hasten the process. If I were a neighbor, I'd be furious, absolutely furious. Shall we move on to what's,
Yeah.
let's approve the minutes?
Yeah, let's approve the minutes. John Melcher, I move to approve the minutes of April 14th.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So why don't you sign your, or do you want me to sign my copy?
yeah, the last page of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Or Charlie can.
Okay. What's next on the,
Yeah. Just one more thing, under concerns. Do you remember at our last meeting, we were talking about compliance checks for tobacco control
Yep.
selling to minors? As you remember, we did some local compliance checks, and at around the same time, the FDA had come to Raleigh and also did some compliance checks.
now FDA is federal
Yeah.
or state?
Federal, yeah. As you remember, there were two establishments that had an issue. So at our last meeting, you
An
had-
issue meaning they were caught selling to minors.
Exactly, yes. So at the last meeting, you had asked if we could reach out to Ron Burgard, who we work with on tobacco control here
The
locally.
state
The
fellow.
state, yes. If there was money in the budget to do a couple of follow-up compliance checks on these two establishments.
Yep.
We just found out today, they did, they were out on this past Friday, May 30th. They went out. Out of the two, one got caught again. So
Now, this isn't a repeat offender.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
The one
is
that was
one.
caught?
That was, yeah, we only did the two establishments that had the problem. We did
Before.
Before, we did the
Okay,
last
yep.
round. We didn't do the other ones. We'll do those again this new fiscal year,
Okay.
once we get into the new year. So anyway, we had asked if we could do that, and they did.
Yeah.
And they weren't sure when if they'd get out in May or June, and we just got this today, so I don't have a lot of detail. But again, they were on Friday, and one was fine, and the other one did not. Ron did enter the store and went through his
Report. to the
report,
owner.
yeah, to the owner, what happened and everything. And basically said that he'd be in contact with us, which he did today. And so we're gonna be sending out a letter, of course, as we will do, and
Yeah.
we'll talk to the
A
owner.
stern letter.
Yes.
Warning letter.
And I will talk to the owner and the manager again, let them know what has happened.
Because if it happens again, they come into
Yeah, that would be up to you.
The
how
Board
you
of
wanna
Health
handle it.
What here?
What teeth,
Well, we have.
Well,
what
we
teeth
have,
are in this for
we
us?
There are penalties.
Yeah, we have fines in our local
Yeah.
regulations where we can fine or we can suspend their license.
Yeah.
So,
To sell
to sell tobacco
tobacco.
products, yeah.
Doesn't seem like-
You know, our local regs do have
Yeah,
some
and-
teeth in them. And,
However, our warning system that we've used, because this isn't a big problem in town.
no.
It's a very small
Fortunately-
problem,
Fortunately, it's not.
very small problem, but the few times that we've had it over the last 8 or 10 years,
It's always the same place.
no, not
Not?
necessarily, no. They've responded to their warning,
Yeah.
and it's been very helpful.
Yeah,
So send out this letter, and then we'll just be checking as the new year comes.
yeah. And when they do them again in the next fiscal year, if we're still having the same issues with the same places, then we definitely want to.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll have them come in and,
But like you said, once it happens, they're usually very good for quite a while. And there's only been 1 or 2 established that have never been caught. And the rest at one time or another, unfortunately.
well, it's a type of business that relies on part-time help.
Exactly.
That's constantly turning over, and they just don't get the message.
Right,
Plus, some of the kids look older than they really are,
right,
Yeah, but the
but they're supposed to check them.
exactly.
the decoy that the state uses, they select a young-looking
Mhm.
kid, somebody that looks his age, which is underage.
Right.
Anyway, do we have any other concerns of the board?
No,
Not for me.
No,
No concerns?
no, I have no concerns at all.
Well, the rabbits are eating my lettuce. Is there something
That's
you or
bad.
Frank can do, you or Ed can do about that?
we can look into that.
I don't want any spraying on my lettuce.
Right.
Well, all right, shall we have a motion to end this meeting?
Sure. I'll make the motion that we adjourn at
And you are?
8:53, and I'm Susan Elwell.
John Melcher, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Very good. Good job, Frank.
Thank you,
Does
Frank.
anybody want to